Good afternoon and happy Thursday. My name is Caitlin. This is KTXX22 Reading and welcome back to my channel. So, I have an idea for a video that I will probably do this weekend, but the reason I had this idea is because of this book that I'm going to talk about today, and that's Cujo by Stephen King. Now, you might be wondering, Caitlin, what kind of video idea could you get from the story of a rabid dog? Well, let me tell you, this book wrecked me. Literally sobbing at the end of the book. And all y'all who've read this book and didn't think to tell little old me, new mama, I got a 7-month-old, that the ending was gonna be the ending that it was gonna be, I'm looking at you. I wasn't prepared. It broke my heart. But what I will tell you is that this book, that in my opinion is close horror, and I don't know if that's a term that a lot of people use, but it is a term that I like to use in speaking of horror books. The book Misery by Stephen King is an example of a close horror, meaning that the horror aspect of the book takes place in a very small place, setting, or most of the scary elements are internal. Your internal mind is going, your thought processes on something, your ability to comprehend the situation and the consequences from that situation. So for me, close horror is small setting, and most of the horror aspects take place in a car. And there's a lot of internal horror because there's that back and forth of, am I going to be able to escape? Is the dog still outside the car? That's what I say when I mean close horror. What I'm finding out is that I love Stephen King's close horror. I think that Misery is one of his better books, on top of the fact that I absolutely adore Annie Wilkes. She is brilliantly, delightfully, horribly evil, and I'm all about the big baddies, if you don't know that about me. And in this book, the internal conflicts that each of the characters are going through, it's not just one character. Every single character that has a narrative in this book has an internal conflict. And they were each a very interesting look at humanity, an interesting look on how people handle different situations. And I loved it. I was afraid that I was going to be really upset with Stephen King. Like, throw some shade. He's done this to me in the past where he puts an animal, specifically a dog. I have 2 dogs, beautiful baby angels, where there will be brutality against said animal. What I will say is that I thought that this was very tastefully done when it comes to Cujo's story, and he actually gets a little bit of a narrative, which was surprising and actually appreciated from a reading standpoint. While I was sad for the dog at the end of the book, I was also glad for the outcome and also devastated. I mean, I don't spoil books. That's not how I roll on this channel. I like people to be able to go into a book as blindly as possible. What I will say is that if you are a parent, you've been warned. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to give this book a 5 out of 5. And honestly, I think it's going to be one of my top 10 Stephen Kings. At some point in time, I will get down to giving you guys my top Stephen King reads, why I recommend them, why they are a favorite of mine. I'll do that at some point in time. at present moment, I don't think that I've read enough of his books. While I have read a considerable amount of Stephen King books, with a bibliography of 60 books, I think it's 60 to 70 books, right? Reading less than 20 or around 20 to me is not enough to be able to give you a definitive answer. I could tell you what I like, but to do a comparison video for any of his other books would just not be fair. So I'll hold off on that until a future date. But what I will say is that I am going to film this weekend a video of books that wrecked me. Books that made me cry. Books that made me feel some kind of way. Because it doesn't happen very often that I'll be reading a book that I'll be like, that book just ripped my heart out and stomped on it into 1,000 pieces. And now here I am sobbing. I'm at work, sobbing. Don't look at me. Yes, I'm crying, but it's none of your business. Things just happened. And I'll try to do that in a non-spoilery way so that people can go into said books without me having given you all the juicy details. But at least give you a warning like, hey, FYI, red flashing zones. This will probably make you cry. I can't recommend this book enough. In my opinion, it is one of Stephen King's best endings to a book. He doesn't dick around. You read any Stephen King lately? You know how he ends his books? Stephen, what you doing? Dicking around with an ending every now and then. But for me, Cujo, albeit sad and quick, the ending is very well done. That's all I've got for you today. Like I said, I will have a video for this weekend. I hope you guys have a freaking awesome day. And again, check the card down below for important Black Lives Matter links, because you know, that is a movement, not a trend. Talk to you later.